Hey guys, happy Magic Monday, happy Memorial Day. It is, excuse me, I am glad to, I wanted to apologize about Friday. Friday's video, I accidentally put in a group. I'll be sharing it again later. Because I had it in the wrong group. And so, so we are going to, whoops. There we go. Got a little off there. So this is what we're working with today. We're going to be working with the Let's Go Shopping stamp set. I immediately saw the stamp set and I thought of Main Street Disneyland and Disney World, because when you look at the paper has so many cool ideas. If you look at the paper, we're not using the paper today, but the paper inspired me to think of other options for, whoops, of course all the pages I need are at the back. But you see, like, all the different types of buildings made me think of Main Street USA, because, or I think that's what they call it, Main Street. I could be wrong, but Main Street in Disney World. And, you know, they have all the shops all next to each other. And some of the shops, you know, like, some of them will have, like, false fronts. They'll say that it's a, you know, it says it's a barber shop, but inside it's just a regular shop. But it's still to look like a traditional downtown, you know, place. The only place that I know for a fact is always the same as the bakery, but some of them look different. Even the cafes sometimes don't look like cafes. They look like a little shop on the outside. So I just thought that the Le Shops, I think it's Shop. Anyway, this was a really great paper. So that was my inspiration. But of course I had to do it more Disney, because that's my thing. So I went ahead and I decided to make this really cute 3D pop-up card. Pardon some of the edging, but I think it still looks good. But I think I kind of wish that these were in the edge. But we're going to be doing this card. So cute, right? And so it's a little bit of time, but I'm super excited about it. And let's get started. Okay, so I need my samples. So just a tip, when I'm doing my coloring of these, this was a sample that I did, and I tried out different colors. I already kind of knew what I wanted on the bread, but I realized I would forget by the time I needed to repeat the video for you guys. So I needed to make sure that I had written down, and I actually needed to write down what these ones were. I got distracted because I was filling that one in last minute. And so I'll have to write it down for later. But I always try and do a little guide to remind me, so when I go to repeat the card, I can do it the same way. Okay, so we're going to be using that. We're going to use this. We've got a bunch of blocks that we're using, and a lot of markers. There's a lot of coloring on this one, but I'm okay with that. I kind of wish there was something I could tape on the inside, or paint on the inside. So the first thing we need, I'm going to talk about the sheets in a minute, but the first thing we need is our cardstock. We need to cut out our building. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. The window sheets are a separate acetate that I'm going to show you my trick for getting the window sheets here in a minute. Okay, so let's stamp our building. We'll set aside everything else. So we're just going to be using Memento Black to stamp our building. Okay. I don't know if there's enough room to put this at the top, but we'll see. Yeah, there's enough room. Okay. So you want to stamp these two separately, because when you use the dies to cut them open, you need them separate. And so let's go ahead and get our, oh, I need the dies. And I need, oh, that popped off. Okay, so the dies inside cut out all the shapes. They also cut out, like, if you wanted to put the name of the bakery or something on the front, that would have been kind of cute. I didn't do that, but maybe on another card. The name of the bakery on the front, things like that. So, and look, you can even do a little awning, even greenery that comes down the side. I need these, and I need this one. I was tempted to do more, but I just tried to stick with one, you know, one thing at a time. And these do fit in the mini stamp cut and emboss machine. So I always make sure that when I'm doing my mini stamp cut and emboss, I use a little die cut. Let's see. Okay, this is the right way. Okay, and I'm going to tape it down. Oh, I also need one more. I need the window. Well, one, I'll tape down one thing at a time. I use a little bit of washi tape because of the fact that, one, I don't have to start again, and two, it's cheap, it holds it down, you know what I mean? It's just what you need for a basic card. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the windows in at the same time. I'm cutting out these little windows. And let's see. Okay. And then I'm going to use this one. Just, oops. Oh. There we go. Oh, I'm gonna have to cut that one separate because it's gonna overlap. I should have, if I had done it just a tiny bit higher, the metal was overlapping, which will break your machine if you try and get two pieces of metal through there. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and save your little piece to the side, and I'll go ahead and reuse this little washi tape if I can. Nope, that one stuck too much. Okay, so now we'll do the same thing with this one. I should have stamped it just a tiny bit higher, then it would have been good. Oh, I didn't need that one. I needed just this one with the... For a second, I thought I needed the lights, but I didn't need the lights. Okay. Okay. There we go. So this is just the normal mini stamp cut and emboss. Super convenient, and look, it folds up, and I put it actually in a little case. It's just a small little lunch bag, and it's perfect. And so that's all we needed for the main die cutting, and then I'll show you everything else in a second. So I'm going to go ahead. I need to get a magnet plate. My friends have like a little magnet. Oops, see, look at this one's coming off. I put magnets inside my case, a magnet sheet. It's actually an air vent cover. Okay, save your little window pieces to the side, because if you make a mistake, you can still stamp on it and fix it. and we need this little door window piece too. So we're gonna need that in a sec. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put these back, but my friend has like a little magnetic picture frame. And so I was thinking, oh, I need that. Okay, and I'm just saving the windows for a minute. I'll probably toss them, but I just until we're done with our video. Pull off all my washi tape. And that way, I don't want to lose my dies, but that's why I have the magnetic sheet. Okay. And so, oops. And see, look, I'm about to shut it and some of the dies are still out, you know? You just don't want to lose the pieces because that would be a bummer. So yeah, I just thought this was so cute. All right. And so we're using a lot of stamps here. All right. Then we're going to stamp. So the window sheets, for the window sheets, I actually used just, all I used was transparency film. Like, you know, the school teachers used to have transparency films for the old school projectors. Most of them don't anymore, but they still sell them at Office Depot and I think Amazon. This is a box I've had for probably like more than 18 years. I think I got it when I first started teaching and I still have it because I didn't want to toss it out. And then I started to use it for crafts, so I knew I didn't want to get rid of it. All right, so this can go to the side. Okay, let me set that there. I don't want to lose those little window sheets. That's why I was a little anxious. Okay. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our buildings and then we're going to put one in the center. And we're going to stamp it in Memento ink. We did the one that was, oh, I didn't realize it was a little patchy there, but that's okay. So what you're going to do is I only want the window on this one side. And so I'm stamping just the window, just enough of the window on this side here. Then I'm going to stamp the next building, but I want to make sure I've got a little bit of space, just a touch, because the streets on Main Street, you know, little, or the buildings are all connected. So they're technically don't look connected from the facade on the outside, but they are. And so, and I really just wanted the door here. I didn't really want another window. So I tried to just catch the door, and that's it. Yeah, so there's my basis of my basic building, and then let me make the tall one. And then I could have made tall ones all across, but to me that would have been tedious, and I did want a spot to be able to stamp, you know, our sentiment. Oh, I got that perfect. Nice. Now we need to stamp. I decided to make a little stained glass on this window. And Wish You Were Here was a different color. Oh, and the bakery. Okay, so here's the trick to the bakery. When you look at it in the stamp set here, it's very wide. And actually, even when I show you when it's stamped here, these lines are wider than the window. So if I take my little window pane, look at, they're quite a bit wider, but they aren't when you move it down a touch. So let me show you. I found that out when I was looking at the, let me practice it here on a scrap before. So when you move the bakery piece lower, it's going to cover up. It's going to give you basically a windowsill is what it's doing. You see? So you have to be careful. See, like it's a little crooked here. I didn't do it as a windowsill, but it still worked. It came out on the sides when I was doing it, but because I layer this over the top, because I layered it over the top, You're not going to see the edges there, but it would have been nice if I had known that. You know what I mean? What if I was just doing this without any 3D layering? So it's not the greatest that this has edging. So if you want to cut it off, what you could do is you could cut off the edge and make it perfectly even on both sides, and then it would work. So, I mean, I don't usually cut my stamps, but it wouldn't be a bad thing if I tried. So, all right, so let me go ahead and get started, stamp it, and I'm going to basically be giving myself a windowsill. Or I'm going to stamp it a little higher because it's going to get covered. There you go. You see, I want the bakery items, but you see how it comes off the side? So that's why I was thinking this can't be the correct design. Why is it coming off the side? And then I realized this bottom line is supposed to be the windowsill of the bakery. So it's just something, I wanted my bakery items a little higher, and I'm covering them with this. So it's no big deal that mine come off. But if you were doing it just flat in a 2D, you would want to make sure that this is the windowsill. It just is something I learned with playing with it. So I like to tell you so that you're aware. And I'm going to make the next little building a little cafe. Like the Carnation Cafe. I used to love going to the Carnation Cafe with my grandmother. We'd get Mickey waffle pancakes, or Mickey waffles, I mean. And I've got my lights, and my lights are a little bit off. So I need to keep practicing on how to use the lights, or how to do the lights, because they could be better. All right, so we're done with those. And the Wish You Were Here, I decided was best in this corner. Because to me, it made me think of like a postcard. Excuse me. And so that's all we're doing with our stamping. I just wanted to make sure that I got all my stamping out of the way before we started coloring, which is a lot of coloring. And you'll see. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So I'm just moving some of these aside so I don't get them mixed up. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I've got an extra layer here because I don't want to stain my table. And then we're going to start using our guide. So my guide that I had here, I was using the Shaded Spruce. So I've got all my markers. I'm using the light Shaded Spruce and the dark Pool Party, which I believe is this one. Oh, that one's light. And this one is, I believe, Balmy Blue. There it is, dark Pool Party. That's for the main part of the, what's the word? Oh, and then I used Orchid Oasis on the trim. No, Starry Skies on the other building. Okay, so what I did was I went ahead and I took the light Shaded Spruce. Coastal Cabana would have been another good option, but I didn't have it. So I decided to do my trimming in the darker shade, but I'm going to lighten it just a touch with the Pool Party. Okay. Now, with the dark Pool Party, and I'm using the little bullet tip, not the painting brush tip. And it just lightens it just a tiny bit because I don't want it too green. I definitely want to keep that Pool Party Coastal Cabana teal. I have Bermuda Bay, but that retired, so I didn't feel like it was right for me to do, oops, Bermuda Bay. Oh my gosh, I'm coloring the wrong one. I need to be coloring this one. Okay. I need to be coloring this one because this is the one that goes 3D. got distracted. I'm watching this program, and then they start talking about it's like a reality TV show. I'm addicted to Below Deck. That's my new thing, and I'm on the season where COVID hits. And it's interesting how there's like a little bit of trauma stuff. I mean, not trauma. I mean, I didn't have anyone die of COVID, thank goodness. You know, I didn't. Well, actually, that's not true. My uncle got very, very sick and then could never really recover. He wound up getting pneumonia and dying. But this is my grandmother's brother. I don't know. There's something about it that makes me uncomfortable. It's funny how just, you know, that was such a hard time for everybody. There were so many blessings that happened during 2020 and COVID, but then it was such a different, I don't know, there was the fear, and, you know, we just, you know, heard about all these people in New York dying, and I don't know, it was just scary. And I was by myself, and my grandmother passed away in March of 2020, March 5th. So before the pandemic officially hit. And I thought it was interesting because she, I don't know, she could have handled it. I think she would have just freaked out and been so worried and scared all the time about how, you know, if we were safe, and she would have just really worried. I just know her. Okay. So now this is the Light Orchid Oasis. So it was just an interesting time. It's funny how, I know it's reality TV. It's old. The pandemic is not totally gone because people still get COVID, but the problems that were associated with it, most of them have been resolved now. And even the medical issues, a lot of them have been resolved. Not all, because some people are still very susceptible. But it's interesting how there's still a little bit of that trauma, and it comes right back up, you know. Sorry to bum you guys out with that topic. It just is on my brain. I'm just thinking out loud. So I'm doing the Light Orchid Oasis. My grandmother was so cool. She loved Disneyland. That's why I think we love Disneyland, my sister and I. Loved it so much. She took us to Disneyland quite a few times, not every year. Every few years in my childhood, though. And then I went also with I think junior high and high school, no, I think junior high and high school band. We went there and played music there, and you know, so I went quite a few times as a child, so it's pretty cool. Then I'm going to take the dark pool party and I'm going to color the building. It was just a sad situation. It's interesting that it just comes back. All the feelings come back, even though it's the past, you know? I think it's interesting that that still comes back. Just because I remember. I guess it makes me think a little, same thing of 9/11. I just remember where I was and what it meant, and the way my grandmother always talked about World War II, where she was and what happened. She wasn't in Hawaii. My grandfather was. They weren't married yet. He came home on leave, and they were married 2 weeks later. He knew on the day he saw her that she was the one. And she was super conservative and not uptight. She wasn't uptight. She was actually really funny. But she was not like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person either. I mean, she was and wasn't. There were things about her that were like that. But she was also just very cautious. And I remember her telling me about different guys she had dated when she was younger. And it's funny how here she married Poppy so quick. She knew his sister, who had lived next door to them for many, many years in San Diego. And she had never met him. just heard about him, you know, from the sister, and then he came home on leave to see his sister, and that was it. He was like, "I'm gonna marry you." He said that on the first day when they and she was like, "You're crazy." She thought he was. She didn't say crazy. She said he was being silly. And then they got home, and he decided that he wanted to so he wanted to meet my great grandmother, and she didn't speak very much English, but because my grandmother's Mexican, but she's like, okay, so they go and sit down, and they start to talk, and let's see about that one. They talk and whatever for a long time, and then that's not red. And then he decided to like stay up all night. She said, "Well, I'm going to bed." My grandmother was getting annoyed and said, "Well, I'm going to bed." And he's like, "That's okay. I would like to stay up and talk to your mother." And he talked to her for another hour. My grandmother was so angry. So this is dark cherry cobbler. She was so angry about it. She thought the nerve of him to like want to talk to her mother after their first date. And she just couldn't believe the nerve of him to be so precocious in that manner. And she was just so mad. I mean, she spoke a little bit of English, but not a ton, you know, and so it was a struggle to talk to her at times because of so that was dark cherry cobbler, and now I'm using 500, number 500, to darken up, just to make it look a little more brick-like. And I remember her telling me how, I was supposed to use 600. Any of the dark browns will do. And so, just to get a little shading on it, so it's not too red. But you want to have the steps, you know. But yeah, she was thought he was so presumptuous to think that you see how it's going to pop right on top like that. And then she just was so mad, angry that he had the nerve. And then they were married for over 48 years. And so it's pretty funny. All right, so now I'm taking the light pool party. And I want to take my yellow. I put it away. I did. Okay, I'm doing just one light here. Just one. Because it reminds me a little bit of the fire station that they have when the light was on, it meant that Walt Disney was there. And so I thought that would be fun. So these parts are going to be seen through my little window. And so I'm doing just one light. Yeah, they were married a long time. I love my grandmother. She was the best. She was so funny. We'd always joke because she was a widow a long time. And so when I lived with her, I'm just coloring the windows here on this building, but I'll color the buildings, the other buildings in a minute. So, she, like we joke about, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do later? She said, well, I thought I'd go bar hopping. She didn't drink at all, but that was always the joke that she'd give me whenever I left somewhere. She didn't drink at all. And she wasn't Mormon or anything like me. She, I was raised Mormon and everything, so, but she was Catholic, but she would always joke, no, I'm gonna go bar hopping. So she just made me laugh. Sorry for all the coloring. And I'm using the bullet tip just because I want to make sure. It's okay if I go a little out of the lines on this window, but on the other one I don't. And I don't want to color my pastries. Pool party's light, but still, I don't want my pastries to look like they've been in the swimming pool. So I don't know what you guys did this weekend. I tried to get ahead on my crafting so that, oh, this one here. I got a bunch of things sorted. I need to write. I meant to write some blogs today and I fell asleep. I was so tired. I figured I needed the sleep. So it was just a little nap, but still. I'll probably write some blogs after we're done with this video. Okay, so that's light pool party, filled in all the windows, you see, okay? Then, I use the dark parakeet party on this window. I just liked it. I don't know if it really clashes or anything, but I just wanted a little bit of the screen. And then I put a little of the screen on these little cookie looking things. Okay. And I used the natural, what's this number? This is number 800. Yeah, because I wanted to color this menu. I just wasn't sure if I really wanted it to be a true color, you know. So I used that from the menu, and then I used just this tiny, I used the bullet end of this marker, the basic black Stampin' Write marker, and I made little ears on my menu. And let's see, we need a little gray, a little blue. So I went ahead and I colored this table with a little gray, and then I mixed the blue on top of it. It just gives it a nice color. So it's not completely gray. And then, oops, I need the pool party again. I missed these spots here. And then Light Melon Mambo. So Light Melon Mambo is what I colored the chairs. I could have done anything. I loved this green, and I don't know. I thought it was good. Okay, and then what color is that one? That is the blackberry. I believe it's. Yeah, light blackberry bliss is what I colored the other parts of this window. Thanks for hanging in there, my friends that are watching. I know it's painful to watch someone color this much, but so this is light blackberry bliss. Okay, and then this was dark flirty flamingo. Oh, I think that was supposed to be flirty flamingo. Yeah, I did it backward. That was supposed to be flirty flamingo. Darn it. That's what I get for not writing it down. This is light flirty flamingo. And then I need a little dark. Okay, so the dark goes along here. Okay, and then we have light flirty flamingo I did for the building. And I did, was it fresh freesia? No, I think I did the dark Highland Heather, no, light Highland Heather. This one's the light Highland Heather that I did here. It doesn't really matter, but okay, that one's done. And for this building over here, I did the dark, and I used the starry sky, the light starry sky. This is dark, dark Highland Heather. And oh, I think I put the blackberry bliss here just to be I just need to color the, oh, yeah, and I think I put, yeah, I just put the dark here on this top part here for the lights. And okay, so now for my, I need 600. I think I'm done with almost all of these. And I need light, starry sky. Okay, so now I used dark real red for the cherry on top of here, and then I used this dark oh, I need this one. I don't need these. And then I used the chocolate. I wanted this to be like a chocolate with white frosting. And so, because it's drizzling down. And yeah, I just made the bottom the same. Almost like the frosting was the same. Then on this one, I wanted it to be a pink cake. This is light Fleur de Flamingo, I hope. Oh, it's dark. Darn it, I wanted it to be light. Okay, well, that's okay. I'll use the light one down here on these cookies. Or cakes or... And then I needed 800 and 200. There we go. There's the 800. And I took the 200 and just followed the swirl. And then this is 600 for this one. And then the pie is 500, which is this one. These are all the natural colors. And then I wanted some of the stripes, alternating stripes were going to be with Balmy Blue. And then the light starry sky for the little button on the top, like a blueberry. And then on the other. So it was like just a little different color on each side. And then for the little cake, I want just like a different color frosting. Maybe I'll use a little bit of this fresh freesia. Highland Heather. We'll go with Highland Heather. Light Highland Heather. And then I'll add maybe some like, not Pool Party. Hold on. Oh, brush tip slid out. Sorry, I had quite a bit of ink there on my finger. All right. Okay. I think we're all done. I think I've colored everything. Oh, the little doors. I'm trying to think of what color to use. I think I'll use the balmy blue here. And there I'll use like maybe like a super light. Blackberry Bliss. Light Blackberry Bliss there, just for the doors. And we're gonna replace that little sign in a minute. Okay, we're done with all our coloring. Okay, so what I did is I cut out these little sheets, and you cut them out just to the size of the shape. It wasn't even like a perfect, oh, this one is like a little over 1.5 by 2 1/8, you know what I mean? Like, I just need to make sure that it's big enough to fit over here. And I'm just going to take some glue dots. I wanted some glue dots to just hold it down. So you can also use the acetate pieces that come from your glue dots. I just happen to have those others, so I went ahead and was like, why am I not going to use that? So just cut it up. I put it in my paper trimmer and everything. I cut it. So I'm just using the glue dots from Paper Pumpkin just because I have them. And so I'm going to put my little window sheet on. And then the same thing with this one. I think this is like 1 inch, yeah. And because you want it smaller than the piece, so that's the part that can be trouble, is you want to make sure it's smaller than the piece, but you don't want it to be okay. Okay, there we go. Done. Okay, and so we've got our little window sheets. Now we're going to pop these up on dimensionals. Oh, I need to put one more thing. So I have this little piece left. And so remember, I saved the windows just in case. Well, I want to cut out this one little piece so I can add it to my window. I need to wait to put it on though. Let's see, what color should I use? I think I'll use my dark Starry Sky. Okay. Okay. I need that still in a minute. Okay. So now we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this. Oh, I forgot my dimensionals. We're almost done. So this was a long one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I need to put, I have to make sure that I put dimensionals in the corners, because if you don't put a dimensional in the corner, it just comes, it doesn't feel right. I'm gonna have to trim this one off. It won't, oh, that one's too big. It doesn't set right. And so take this little corner one. There we go. And so I need to put some across the top here, but especially the corners, because what was happening is that when I didn't have them in the corners, it just had it didn't stay. There was something wrong. It just kept like kind of popping up a little. I think maybe because the acetate or something, but we just want to make sure everything stays nice and firmly pressed. And then we're gonna, there's a hair. Oops. I shouldn't have pressed it so hard. Okay, then the same thing here. Okay, I gotta cut these up. I also have mini dimensionals you can use too. These are the ones that are out. Oops, I lost the other one. Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. Plenty of dimensionals, but it just keeps it all from caving in. You know what else would have probably been good is if I had done a little Wink of Stella. Oh, I still can. I guess I still can put a little Wink of Stella. Let's see, that one's still on. Okay. And then I tuck this one right there. Yeah, you just got to be careful where you put your stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to cut out this little piece and attach it with the glue dot. You can leave that one in the back, but I don't know, I thought it was kind of fun if I made this one on the front of the door. So I just grabbed a glue dot. I'm just gonna place it right over my door. But I don't want to press too hard, you know what I mean? I want it to go over that sign. But I don't want to press too hard because I don't want it to move the acetate. There we go. And that is it for the coloring. All that's done. Okay, so now we're just going to glue it together. The gluing together, oh, I forgot my last part. So remember I used these before with the Harry Potter. Come on. Okay, I used these before with the Harry Potter. This was like a little bit bigger, that one little dot. So I had to use a different one. And so I'm just using the light starry sky. Oh, I might need to get the dark one. I need the dark. I thought it was light I was using, but I guess not. They're the perfect proportion. I don't know why that one's not coloring. There we go. Maybe it was the Dark Orchid Oasis, but I swear it was the Starry Sky. The alcohol will stick to the plastic. There we go. I should have done that first so it could dry, but I should put that on last because I'll let that dry for a minute. Okay, so now Soft Seafoam, Fresh Freesia, and Orchid Oasis. Those are the colors I used because I just felt like they were very Disney-ish. The Soft Seafoam reminds me so much of, they call it Forget Me or Ignore Me Green or something like that, or Forget Me Green. So, you know, like Disney wanted a color to cover all of the trash cans where people didn't really see them. You know, he still makes them decorative, but he just wanted them colors that just where it wouldn't mess up the look of the theme park. So he still wanted trash cans, but he just wanted them to be almost invisible. And so he designed a color called Forget Me Green or Ignore Me Green or something, he named it. I'm not sure exactly what color it is, but it kind of reminds me of the Soft Seafoam. All right, there we go. Now, if these don't line up perfectly, go ahead and, you know, trim them to, you know, the size that you need. They didn't line up perfectly on my sample, so a lot of coloring. So it took a long time to color. But I'm so happy I did because I just loved how cute this turned out. All right, so I'm going to make my double layer. And this is 3.5 by 5 1/4. And this one is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, I believe. Yeah, 3.5 and 3 3/4. Yeah, I was right. Okay. And I'll put the inside. I don't have anything to stamp on the inside this time. All right, and then I'm going to put it right here. See, this is why you always make sure you have something underneath, because it can bleed. And depending on how hard you color, some people press down harder on their markers. So, I wish today was the day off, but I kind of wished I had another one. I'm just feel like I need to catch up on a few things. Okay, so there is our layer. And then our Mickey Mouse ears. Here we go. So I added the ears, well, because naturally we needed them. Where did my tweezers go? I just had them. Oh, no, that's not them. Weird. Maybe I put them in here. I'll turn up. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys remember, a few months ago I was looking for I could not find my glue eraser. Well, sure enough, I found it. One of the cats brought it to me. They had taken it from somewhere. And so my little Mickey head right there. And I'm just going to use the edge of my tweezers to press them down. And you got to be careful. See a little bit of the ink leaks on the side there. Actually, I don't want to touch it because I don't want it to bleed more. I was going to take the color lifter, but it's such a dark color, I think I'll pass. But yeah, so there's our card. Fun little Main Street. And adding the little Mickeys. I kind of think I should have added another Mickey like right here. You know what I mean? Which I could still do, or in like a little doorknob, things like that. Maybe I'll do that on my next card. But there was so much coloring on this one. But yeah, these are the perfect size dots for Mickey ears. They're called the Classic Matte Dots. And they have them in several colors, which is convenient. So yeah, I love them. So that's our card. Oh, it took me an hour, so that's not too bad considering all the coloring I had to do. And I have my one light for Walt Disney. So there you go. There's our fun card. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for your support. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Okay, bye. No.